I will now request Niranjan sir to please give us his blessings and guidance. Also, sir, in your absence, Dinesh has committed and announced that you are going to be our mentor and you are going to be available for us throughout whenever we need you. So, just acknowledging that again in your presence. And can I now invite you up on stage to
Good evening to everybody. You know, when you finish all the work that you're doing, then finally what do? You become a mentor. So that's what I've become. Because they don't expect us to compete with them, you. And they think that if he's a mentor, then he will remain there always. But don't worry, I'm coming. No, I'm very happy to share all my personal experiences with you, and it's always a pleasure to work along with everybody, and it's been great. Naredco, of course, has done fantastically. The recent exhibition which took place was a super duper success, super se upar jaise bolte. So congratulations to Naredco and each one of you and all the other people who have done an excellent job of the entire marketplace. The Knight Frank report is really very useful. Thank you very much, Knight Frank, for all the compendium that you have collected, because it's always very useful to get statistics. The reason why this is very useful is because when you go to government and you argue your case, abhi ye builder sach bolta hai kya? So then becomes extremely difficult to argue your case. And when you have statistics which is like this, you'll be able to actually convince the government that, when I remember the time when we went for tax-free status for under the PMAY scheme. Unfortunately, that cap of 45 lakhs came in, so we couldn't really benefit too much. But the Panvel's Karjat sector really benefited because of the scheme. But when we gave them statistics, that was the time when we did it. And we gave that figure of 1.4 crore houses are actually short in the urban areas. When I worked with the Prime Minister's office, I'm talking about when Prime Minister first came into power, Narendra Modi ji came onto power, and we had a meeting over there. And at that point of time, we convinced him that we needed 1.4 crore houses. They actually did a resurvey of all the states, and they found they needed 1.1 crore houses, not 1.4. And government sanctioned it, and you cannot believe 1.1 crore houses will be completed in 2023 under the PMAY scheme throughout the country and got succeed. So don't undermine the importance of the statistics that we have got. These type of statistics will be very, very useful to Naredco, to Knight Frank, to each and every one of us in order to actually convince government, especially when you create associations for each of the areas that you're doing. This type of documentation is extremely important to me and to each and every one of you, especially the committee which goes to represent to various authorities as to what exactly we need. Let me give you a few thought processes of statistics. Some of it may have been heard by some of you, but I'll just add on to that. Mumbai, as a city, has got 190 kilometers of Western Railway, Central Railway, and Harbour Line, 190 kilometers. That was expanded over a period of 60 years by 20 kilometers. So these three suburban lines, 20 kilometers was added in 60 years. In the next 5 years, we will add 300 kilometers of metro. From 190 kilometers existing, we will add 300 kilometers of metro. Number two, we will have the Cross Harbour Bridge, which will give us enough availability of land equal to half the land of the city of Mumbai. I know it takes time to absorb. Just think of half the land of the city of Mumbai vacant in the periphery areas of the distance after crossing the MTNL bridge. That is what is going to be. The new airport is coming at Navi Mumbai Panvel area. So that becomes another focal point of growth which is going to take place. Also the fact that you have the Ro-Ro connectivity to Alibag, and you have a coastal road which is coming over here. And on the other side, you have the connectivity which is going to come up from Delhi-Mumbai corridor, the Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor which is going to be connected. And Navi Mumbai center will be the only multimodal center in the whole state of Maharashtra. Means we have an airport, you have the JNPT port, the railway, and the national highways, all connectivity into one center. So it becomes a new center of gravity of the entire region that we are talking. So the only difference I want to point out is that in the next 10 to 20 years, the center of gravity will move away from South Mumbai to upwards. When I started 35 years ago, the only place we thought about commercial was South Mumbai, Nariman Point, Ballard Estate, and these areas. Nobody thought that big companies would ever move out of South. Mr. Raza, you fully aware that anybody who talked about large commercial establishments, it would never take place. Then slowly the center of gravity shifted to Parel, to BKC, Andheri, Powai, moved even northwards, the Thana-Belapur road, the Navi Mumbai corridor, which is Belapur road and others, and this center of gravity has moved out. So when we are talking about moving or having a distance from only South Mumbai, you have to understand that only less than 10% of the population lives in the city. And that is the only part of the whole MMR region where the population has come down. So in reality, what I'm saying is not based on what Niranjan Hiranandani believes will happen in the future. It's already happened. So the population in the city is the only population which has come down. Every other part of the suburban, extended suburban MMR, the population has gone up. So actually the movement of the center of the gravity has already happened. So many times people say, oh, South Bombay se kitna distance hai? That is going to become history. There was a time when I went to Powai and everybody told me, wo to picnic ka area hai, udhar bangla banayega, aise kuch karega, and what is going to really happen? Of course, that's 35 years. And I said, no, one day this place will grow up. And when I made 7-storied buildings, people said, idhar koi 7 mala ka makan koi khadne wala nahi hai. So that is how it started. And now, of course, I believe that Powai is the center of the entire city and everything is around it. At least that's what I feel. So and don't feel bad if I feel it, because when I came in there, I was the only builder. And now there are 35 builders around me. So I always say around me because I started first, only from that reason. No, what I meant to see is the center of gravity has moved. That's what I wanted to explain. Then the second shift took place. Then they said, ye to lucky aadmi hai Hiranandani. Koi jagah liya tha, फिर city grew over there. Then we went to Thane, because I bought 250 acres in Powai. Then we bought 350 acres in Thane. तो बोला कि भाई उधर तो कुछ होने वाला नहीं है, because this is not there. And when I went, there were only 2 builders on Godbandha Road with a 2-lane road. And that was Brahmand, I forget the name of the builder. Kabraji was there with me, along with me. And now there are only 42 big builders on Godbandha Road. How many? 42 big builders. And everybody has become big, bigger than me also. So now the situation is slightly different, that the center of gravity, what I wanted to say, has moved. And it is not moved because I wanted it or I was clever to do it. It was natural that it was to happen. It was only that we identified that it is going to happen. It's not that I made it happen or you made it happen or anyone made it happen. It was necessary. If Mumbai was to grow, this place had to grow. That was there. The next center of gravity became Navi Mumbai. And now I do believe that the new center of gravity will move even northwards. And that is why we took up Panvel, Powai, I took 250 acres. Thana, we took 350 acres. In Panvel, I took only 500 acres because I'm very sure that, now everybody. And when I took it over there, I was the only builder. Now there are 5 builders around me, including now Mr. Adani and all the Godreges and Vadwas and India Bulls and others. So, and I'm hoping that all of you will buy projects over there. So I can say there are 40 people around the new project. So when we are talking about new areas, whether it is the Neral area which we are talking about, is a logical thing that it will move. But what is it that really is missing in any new area that we do? One is infrastructure. So whatever it is, we have to fight as far as an association is concerned to be able to get reasonably good infrastructure to start with. You can't, government is not far-sighted enough to put in the full infrastructure advance to it. In many of countries of the world, whether you're in Dubai, Singapore, China, the government puts in the infrastructure ahead of the development. So you get everything in terms of it. You're not going to get anything. But if we can get the government to identify that this location is worth the while, then you will be able to get the government to do it and identify it. The second part of it is, if you are saying that you're going to have affordable segment of the thing, then the government will be further encouraged in order to support us. So I think the putting up of the whole thing from a government perspective is affordable. But in reality, from a builder's perspective, I don't think you need to nomenclature it as affordable. It is more important to tell people that this is the center of gravity and this is a place where you should be there. And that is how we really need to say. So we don't tell people in Powai कि वो affordable था तभी हम लोग बेच रहे थे. We used to say that's the new center of gravity. So my view is that when we talk about the Neral Karjat area, from a government perspective, it's very good to write affordable, and you should. Nothing wrong with that, and and it will be affordable in the initial stages. But the idea is to benchmark it as the best in class. That इससे अच्छा कुछ भी नहीं है. That's how you should project it. Once you project it that way, then automatically it will happen. So you have to believe that that area is going to grow well. And I'm sure that with all the activity which you people are doing over there, it can be bungalows, it can be row houses, it can be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be townships initially, in the initial stages, because there's a lot. After COVID, a large number of people from Mumbai are very happy to go and stay into second homes or places like that. And a lot of people work from home during this period. And so they are very happy to create second homes. So if you can create accessibility, if we can create infrastructure, and we need to create some USP in each area. Powai, we created some USP. Thana has created USP. Navi Mumbai has created USP. So we have to think about together, we will sit and say, what is the USP that we want to do in the Neral Karjat area? That's how we need to project it. Once we have a USP there, whether it is with the government in urban development, housing, tourism, IT, whatever it is, we need to put up 4 or 5 thoughts, work towards all these ideas and all that. And that is how exactly we need to multiply the focus for us to do it. So what I'm trying to share with you at the first instance is that yes, we need to identify this area, provide the necessary wherewithal for the purposes of it. And the last part of it is to be able to market the idea. So when we talk about, let's say, the location, one of the good things about what Knight Frank did is that it provided the connectivity issue. But there's not only the connectivity issue. Of course, there is connectivity, which is the MTHL corridor. The Central Railway is going to be extended, which is presently from VT to Panvel, will be extended to Karjat in the next 3 years. So you're going to get a railway line which is going to go right up to Karjat on that thing. There's now a single line, but it's going to become a passenger line. Of course, the airport is coming up over there. That's the second thing. The entire corridor, as far as this is concerned, is a junction of all these things. If you come close, you have the center. I believe Mr. Ambani is going to put up a township right across the harbor just after the MTHL corridor is coming. So this center will become the new center of gravity to there. So the distances doesn't have to be necessary from South Mumbai, but really we have to say this is the new center of gravity which will be there. So for example, in Delhi, you don't talk only distance from Delhi, but you can talk of distance from Gurugram. So that's the new center of gravity that has been created. In Ahmedabad, you don't talk only about the city of Ahmedabad, but you also talk about Gandhinagar. And I've built a building in the SEZ of Gift City and Signature Building over there. And that's, of course, a new center of gravity which has been created. So what we are trying to share with each other is the fact that once you have identified the location, which you have, and you have presented it very beautifully today, and congratulations for doing this. It's a good idea to represent to the government on various ideas of how we can actually pull up this area and how the other activities there. The last part is, you can't think only of housing without economic activity over a period of time. So while we all have benefited because Mumbai has grown economically, but I want to share with you, 35 years, 40 years ago, Mumbai was going to die because the government had decided that no new commercial buildings will be made in Mumbai. I know you must be sounding funny. MMRD had passed a resolution that no factories and no new commercial establishments. Somehow we managed to convince government at that time, 40 years ago, that that's a wrong decision of MMRDA, and we reversed the decision and this. But in the period, we lost leadership to Bangalore, because Bangalore took up the IT leadership in that period of time, and 10 years they were ahead of Mumbai only because of a wrong policy of the state of Maharashtra. Of course, fortunately, sense came back to them. And in the last 30 years, we have tried to catch up. But Bangalore, just because of 10 years of leadership, Mumbai didn't become. Of course, the second factor is also the factor that our land cost was there, while there was a 360 degrees movement on the Bangalore side, which gave enough land availability to the various new ideas and thoughts of IT which took place and became much more easier and possibility to do. So I think there is a huge opportunity for us in the whole segment. And the last part of it is because it touches very beautifully on the affordable segment. I think there is another opportunity also to cater for this segment. And I think that has been brought about. If somebody really gets down to the nooks and corner of it, and if infrastructure is created in terms of connectivity, then at a lower margin, one can become the biggest company in India just by servicing Mumbai. You know what they said in this report? They said that 50% of the people living in Jhopatpatti can afford a house. I don't know whether you know what he said. Where's our friend who said that? Where are you? Come here, come here. You said a very important statement. I don't think you realized you said such an important statement. 50% of the people who live in Jhopatpattis, if they are given a 300 square feet house, can afford today, because of the rentals that they pay, can afford a house. This is the biggest statement made by you, sir. So I want to thank you for that, honestly. It's really very important. If somebody is clever enough, and I'm telling you, this is something which Reliance can do, because that's the trick which they really do. Identify the lowest segment of the market, pick up a margin into the segment and drive it. 50% of the population of this thing today pays rentals higher than what is paid for a return in this. He showed a higher rate of return in the affordable segment of Jhopatpattis. Where is that report? I don't know. I saw it on the screen. Can you please show it again? That's what I want to. Yeah, which page is it? I don't know. I'm too lazy to look at it. Yeah, so if you look at the last page of this report, when you read it, it says that the IRR which is not there in the case of my buildings in Powai or Thane. The IRR in the case of residential accommodation is in EWS is 11.7%, and in the case of LIG it's 12.8%, and it is MIG is 13.9%. If you show this to Brookfield, they will go into residential housing, and Knight Frank will be the reason for the beneficiary of that, because the returns on the commercial side is about 8%. So up till now, I always said on TV, on other places and all that, and I showed off, and I said that residential rentals are not put, I don't build on, they asked me, why you don't build residential rental? I said, because the returns are low. Today, Knight Frank has said in the last page, in the last line, that the returns are there, and we have K. Raja over here. I'm sure that now instead of commercial, you'll do a REIT in residential housing also. You will have to send him a fee receipt on that when he takes it up. So thank you so much. Thank you. Now I wanted to give him a credit. So why I have said that, these are the secrets which come out, maybe innocently from him, that the things which are there, if we pay attention to these ideas and thoughts, you could probably be the biggest real estate company in India in the next 10 years, because all you have to do is take the jhopatpattis, build houses for them, give it on rent, and you will get a return of 12 to 13%, which you don't get in commercial. What is the idea? How do you find the idea? Okay, so if anybody wants to take it up and do it, and then Knight Frank must be given a small commission, if not big one. What I'm trying to say over here is that the real estate field in the next couple of years is huge. No matter what segment you really look at, whether it's the affordable segment, whether it's the bungalows, row houses, outhouses, secondary homes, education institutions, commercial establishments, IT, all these sectors are really doing it. But you can't think of residential alone. We are so used to taking advantage of what is happening in the commercial, in the city commercial and other segment, that we fail to take and understand that till you don't develop commercial and these type of opportunities of growth centers to do there, your growth will always be limited. And that's why you'll see that the numbers in Bangalore and Hyderabad, many times the growth numbers are now faster than Mumbai. So that is the reason why it's taking place. So we have to think of commercial, industrial, IT, manufacturing, and other fiscal. And if you don't want to do it, we have got enough to work on the jhopatpattis of Mumbai and give them on rent, and you'll make 13% return at least. Okay, so thank you very much. It's a good opportunity. I'm very happy to be over here. And thank you.
Please continue. I'll just felicitate you. Thank you, sir, for your insights. The photo. So, was that a surprise for you to see unveiling yourself? So the core and the crux of Manthan, sir, is pushing infrastructure development, working with the government in our area. That is how the whole idea was conceptualized, and we look forward for your support in bringing these concepts and ideas to the government and pushing to implement these. Can I now request Gautam Bhai and Dinesh Doshi to please felicitate, sir?